when are you available to meet the manager? I'm like, girl, my availability is open. I can meet her right now. I ain't say that. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Erica Andrea. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today, I'm going to be doing a sit-down chatty video about how I landed my first nursing job in the middle of a pandemic, all of the trials, tribulations, how long it took me to find a job, how many interviews I went on. I'm gonna tell y'all my whole story. Hopefully the things that I share in this video can help somebody. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you're gonna graduate soon and like you're super nervous. I got you. I'm gonna tell you everything. So let's get right on into it. As you guys may or may have not known, I graduated nursing school in August, well, late August technically, and I made a video on how I studied for the NCLEX and how I passed the NCLEX in 60 questions and all that stuff. So I'll have that video linked in the card so you guys can go watch that, as well as in the description box below. I had started applying for jobs in August because I was just like, well, let me just get a head start on things. Some places may not call me back because I don't have my license yet, but like maybe I'll just put when I'm going to take the NCLEX on my resume, everything's going to be all good. So I applied for a bunch of different positions, and at that time there were so many positions up in areas that I actually wanted to work in, like in my head that I thought I wanted to work in. And so I was applying like crazy. I was writing a new cover letter for each job. Like I was doing the works and it was exhausting. So I was doing that and I wasn't hearing back, but I really just like chalked it up to the fact like I don't have my license, and when they screen in the applications, like they're checking to see if you have your license. Like on some applications it'll even have a yes or no checkbox, like are you registered to work in New York State, and you have to put yes or no. And obviously I had to put no because I don't have a license. Like there's no box for, oh, I'm about to take the NCLEX and I'm gonna pass, I promise, you know? Like there's no box for that. So I feel like for a lot of the applications, they really weren't trying to look at you if you didn't have your license. It does vary from place to place. Like some places will take you, but you know what I mean. Like for me, overall, in my experience, I wasn't getting any calls until after I got my license, period. Once I passed the NCLEX, I was like, okay, like there's nothing stopping me. There's nothing holding me back. I passed my NCLEX. I have multiple years of experience. I've worked as a PCA, I've worked as a nursing assistant, I've worked in 2 different hospitals, I've volunteered places, I've shadowed, like I've done so much stuff. I have so many contacts. Like who's gonna have a hard time finding a job? Not me, period. And that's how I was feeling. Like I was really, I don't know if I was overconfident, because all those things are true. Like I feel like that does make me a really great candidate, but nonetheless things did not work out the way I envisioned it in my head. All of my friends were getting jobs, months, weeks were passing. I didn't get a single phone call, like not even one. Like just imagine sending out hundreds of applications into the atmosphere, it felt like, and just not getting a single call back. And I just started to feel like, is there something wrong with my resume? Is there something wrong with my cover letters? Like what is tea? Like why does none of these jobs want to hire me? And not even the fact that they didn't want to hire me, because I could understand like if I went in for an interview and I bombed the interview and I just didn't get the job, because it's like fair, they at least wanted to see me. But I wasn't even getting any calls, and I tell you, months and months at a time, silence. So October became November, November became December. My goals of having a new job before the new year dwindled away because I just wasn't getting any calls. And obviously we are in the middle of a pandemic, so I kept telling myself that as well. Like a lot of places that would normally have new grad residencies or positions open that were friendly for new grads that need like a lot of intensive training, those programs just weren't there. They were taken down off the websites. They just weren't listed. A lot of places just weren't doing them. And also because I went to nursing school somewhere other than where I live, it was a little bit harder for me as well. Like all the places that I had clinical, all the hospitals that I had like that type of connection with were not in my home state. Like I said, I do have some experience. So I have worked in a hospital before. I've worked in 2 different hospitals, and I had all of those contacts, the managers, all of that good stuff. So I reached out to literally anybody who knew me that I knew had some type of pull to get into a hospital, because I'm not currently working. I chose to leave my job to take a break in between studying for the NCLEX and ending nursing school, because I thought, you know what, let me just stop working, let me take a rest and just catch my breath before I start the career that I'm gonna work for the rest of my life. Like, it's not gonna be hard to find a job, like it's gonna be fine. That's what I thought. Come to find out, I wasn't gonna get any calls for months, no money, no income. I mean, I live at home, so it's fine. Like, I was still able to pay the little bills that I did have and all of that with just YouTube money and doing things like that. But your girl was broke, okay? I was broke, and I did not anticipate having to wait this long to find a job. But nonetheless, I got to the point where I was like, okay, new year, fresh start. Mind you, please remember that I started applying in August. It would be around December around this time. Started thinking like, okay, new year, like we're still in a pandemic, like COVID is getting crazy again. Like, maybe when the new year comes around, like people will have new budget. Maybe there'll be more opportunities. I'm just gonna, you know, refresh myself, delete all the cover letters that I've written, make a fresh one, like just start fresh and apply for some more jobs. And that's what I did. Around December time, I randomly got my first interview, and it was for my dream job. And I, to this day, like it was the specialty I wanted, it was the hospital I wanted, it was literally perfect. Like, in my head, I was like, you know what, I just have to go in there, nail this interview, and I'm gonna kill it. So I got the email that they wanted to do the first round of interviews with me, and that it was gonna be online, and one of those like recorded interviews where you're not like meeting with the actual person. So I literally sat in front of my computer with my ring light and everything, and I answered a series of questions, and you couldn't do double takes, so you had to answer the question in one take, and you had to answer each question in a certain time frame. So I think some questions you had like 60 seconds to answer, some questions less, some questions more, and it just went through like that. I got questions about, you know, like, why did I choose nursing? Tell me about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, like all of the basic like questions that you would see in an HR interview. And I feel like I nailed it. Like, after I closed the computer, I was like, yes, I ate that up. Like, that interview went so well. I feel like I answered every question really, really well. And because I'm very comfortable on camera anyways, I feel like my personality really did shine through. And then my recruiter got back to me and she was like, great interview, like you did awesome. It was so nice getting to know you through this process. I want to go ahead and move you to the second round of interviews. Now, mind you, this was my dream job, you guys. Like, literally my dream job in my head. Like, this is what I want, this is where I need to be, like this is the unit, like this is my position. Like, that was what I had going on in my head. Little did I know. But yes, scheduled my second interview, which was going to be in person at the hospital. And this is where I made my mistake. Now, I'm good at pretending not to be nervous, like fake it till you make it. So I normally do really well in interviews, so I didn't do too much prep. And one, this was my first nursing interview. I've never done an interview to be a registered nurse, you know, someone that like saves lives. My nursing assistant interview and my registered nurse interview are those was two different animals, baby. And I wish that I knew what I knew now going into that interview, because I probably would have gotten that job. But yeah, I didn't do too much research on like the specialty itself, one, because I just was like, they know I'm a new grad, so like they're not gonna ask me anything super specific, right? Like, why would they go so in depth to where I need to like open my textbook and review notes from that specialty chapter? Girl, I went to that interview, I was so confident. I went in there, it was great, we were vibing. It was me, the nurse manager, and one of the floor nurses in the interview. We went through all the questions. I was answering them perfectly. The nurse was like, oh my God, you remind me so much of what I was like when I first started 20 years ago. It was, that interview was going the best that I could have ever thought it was gonna be, considering how nervous I was, because this is my dream job. Like, this is the dream position. And then we get to the last question. They asked me a very specific patient scenario question about a medication that I was supposed to know isn't frequently given to that patient population based on that unit. And I was supposed to know to question the medication and call the doctor. And the answer that I gave was to, you know, like check the labs, look in the chart, blah, 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 to see if I found it appropriate. And yeah, that was the wrong answer. The answer was, this should have been a red flag. We don't normally give this medication to these patients because of XYZ. And it was just wrong. And I was just like, yikes. I wish I would have reviewed that type of thing before the interview. But it's like, I don't want to beat myself up too much about it, because I feel like even if I did review my notes from nursing school about this specialty, I probably still would not have gotten that question right. You know, I only know what I seen in clinical, and I didn't learn that in clinical. So it was just one of those things that I just had to charge to the game. And when I left the interview, I mean, I did get a chance to kind of recover from that question, but it was at the end of the interview. And after that, you know, they asked me if I had any questions, and I did ask some really great questions. I asked about like what the orientation process looks like for new grads, and what, you know, how they do that whole process. I also asked, which is my favorite question to ask in nursing interviews, is what are your quality improvement projects that you're working on right now? And the managers, they eat it up. They eat it up like cake, okay? Because everybody knows that whatever the quality improvement project that they're working on, like that is the manager's baby. Like they're really passionate about it, and they know a lot about it, and they love to talk about it because they're probably seeing results from whatever that project is. So she went on and on telling me about the 2 things they're working on and how much progress they've been seeing with the patients and blah, blah, blah. Like it ended well, but I still, in my head, I knew because I didn't answer that question properly that I bombed the interview. Like that was gonna be an X in my book. And in that interview, they did ask me a lot of questions about like, how do I know I want to go into this specialty field? How do I feel, you know, not starting out med surg and going straight into a specialty? They asked me a bunch of questions about that, and I answered them well, and I feel like they responded to my answers quite well, and I got like that type of feedback that they were feeling the vibe, and I knew it. I knew it as soon as I left. I was like kicking myself in the parking lot because I was just like, girl, I don't know about this. And to make matters worse, as I left that interview, I saw the girl who was interviewing after me, and I just felt like we had on like basically the same outfit. She was also young, really pretty. Like I was just like, this is literally a clone of me sitting here, and if she answers that question right, I bet you they're gonna give it to her. Like that's what I was just thinking in my head. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So I did not end up getting that job and making it to the 3rd round of interviews. So I was super bummed, especially because this was a 3-round interview process. So I was going through this process with this one position for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Like it was a while, and I was so set that this is my dream job, this is what I wanted, that I stopped applying to jobs altogether. So come to find out, right before the holidays, right before the new year, I didn't get the job. So I was just like, you know what? I am just gonna try to go into this new year with a new mindset. Like if I didn't get that job, it was for a reason. It was meant to be. You know, I've been told no many times in the past, and I've always come across something better and been put in a position to where like, okay, I know why I didn't get that thing, because I was supposed to have this, you know what I mean? So I tried. It was hard. Like mentally, it was really hard. Just seeing all my friends and all my classmates, they're like in their 2nd month of their first nursing job. They posting all these things, like even my friends, like they had already started working, and I was going through those motions of like really comparing myself to other people. And don't do that ever. Like you gain nothing in comparing yourself to somebody else, because their story's not your story, and they can't do what you do, you can't do what they do. Like y'all are just different, and it doesn't make one thing better or worse, or it shouldn't make you feel better or worse just because somebody else, it's their time and it's not yours, you know what I mean? And I feel like I did have a really great support system throughout the process. Like my friends were great, my family was great. Like I have a great support system, so I really can't complain too much in that department. But it just was really tough on me mentally, mostly because I am tough on myself. It's always me that's at the root of all my problems. Like I am my worst critic. I am so hard on myself just because I want to be great, and it's just I see so much for myself, and when I'm not like where I think I'm supposed to be at, it's like I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So yeah, I had to take some time to reset, and eventually I did start applying for jobs again. Went on another binge applying spree. I feel like I applied for another like 50 positions. I applied for so many. I even widened my net. I stopped applying to just hospital jobs and I started applying to like stuff in nursing homes and outpatient care facilities and all these different, because I needed that validation. Like I needed somebody to be like, okay, I want to interview. Okay, I want to talk to you, because I felt like I was getting rejected everywhere. I was like, you know what, let me widen my net for an ego boost. If anything, I'll go in for the interview just for interview practice and not even take the job, but like somebody please call me. Like that's where I was at that point. But then I got an interview for a new grad residency position at one of the hospitals near me, and I actually applied to this place because my dad showed me one of the listings. I didn't even know that this hospital existed, but don't tell them I told you that, because in my interview I definitely was talking about how much I was excited to want to work there and how great they are and blah blah blah, because of the research I did on the internet, okay? But I didn't know nothing about this hospital. It was the first time I ever heard about this place, but they're really highly ranked. Like they have great reviews. So I was like, what's tea? Let's see what's happening. So I did apply for a bunch of positions there, and I ended up getting a call for an interview. The first interview was with HR, and it was a phone interview. It went really well. All of the questions, every single one, I got off of Glassdoor. So if you're not using Glassdoor in your job search, please do, because I think every single nurse that ever commented about their interview process with this hospital, I read what they wrote, and all the questions that I pulled from there came up in my interview. So Glassdoor is a great resource. So I killed that interview. It went really well, and it was over the phone. At the end of the interview, she immediately offered me the second interview, which was a shock because I thought I was gonna have to wait a week and 2 weeks again to find out about the next steps. But nope. At the end of the interview, she told me it went great, blah, blah, blah. She was like, so the next stage is going to be the manager interview. Like, when are you available to meet the manager? I'm like, girl, my availability is open. I can meet her right now. I ain't say that. But I met her within the next couple days, and I had my in-person interview on New Year's Day. I either had my in-person interview on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I really can't remember. But I went in for my interview. It went so well. Like, it literally felt like home. And I don't know if it's because I was interviewing for a unit that I was just very familiar with. I was a nursing student on a unit just like this. I worked for 3 years as a nursing assistant on a unit just like this. So I just felt really comfortable, and everything that the manager was telling me about the unit and what it's like to be a nurse there, like I could see it, I can envision it, because it's something that I experienced before. And even though I was shooting for a certain specialty, it was important to me to be at a hospital that really appreciates new grads and really wants to, you know, grow a new grad and like feed them and help them become the best nurse that they can be. Because I feel like your first couple, like 1 to 3 years in your nursing career, really set the stage for all the skills that you're going to build up on for the rest of your career. So if you start out with bad habits, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna have some bad habits. Okay, so I wanted to be somewhere that really wanted to teach you and really wanted to learn, and I was really happy that it seemed like it was that kind of place based on the interview that I had. So the interview went great, and once again, all the questions that I pulled from Glassdoor came up in my in-person interview. So I was really prepared. I did a way more in-depth prep for this interview than I did for the last one. I was able to speak pretty confidently on all the questions that they asked me. So I felt really strong, and I left that interview feeling like if I don't get this job, I don't know why I would not. Like, I didn't have any regrets. I didn't feel like there was anything I could have answered better, and I ended up getting the job, period. So that was back in early January that I got this position, and I just haven't started yet. It is a new grad residency, so they were still doing interviews, and they were trying to get, you know, a big enough group so that we can all start. So I won't be starting until towards the end of February, which is like next week, which is crazy. So I'm definitely going to be bringing you guys some nurse content, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking for that under my how to study for nursing school video, in my how to pass the NCLEX video. Like, I've done a couple nursing videos already, so I know that there is some people out there that need to see that type of content. So I definitely will be making some stuff, and like what's in my nursing bag, or a day in the life of a nurse, or you know, just tips, tricks, whatever I'm thinking about along the way that maybe help you guys. I'll definitely be making content about it. I am so happy that that section of my life is over where I was so stressed and I was just so like sick, feeling like a failure because I didn't have a job yet. So I'm just really blessed, and I don't pay rent. I live in my parents' house, so shout outs to them, because I probably would have been working at like the mall if I had to pay rent or something, because who's waiting 5 months to get a job? Not me. So yeah, I haven't done a sit down chatty type of video in a while, and I feel like I don't get to like, you know, connect with you guys that often because I'm always making like how-to content. Like, let me show you this, let me show you that, let me show you how to buy this, let me show you where to buy that, you know? And I just wanted to kind of sit down and give y'all a little piece of me, be a little bit more vulnerable, because it was kind of embarrassing to not have a job for a while, which is why I didn't post anything about it on social media. I posted a little bit about my job searching on Twitter because I felt safe over there, because my Twitter is not searchable like my private Twitter. So yeah, I felt safe over there, but like I was going through it, y'all, and I'm so happy that I have a job. Salary's good, everything's good. I'm just really happy and super excited to start. So if you guys have any questions about things that maybe I forgot to cover in this video, if you want a dedicated interview prep video, maybe I can do one of those. If you want to know more about just, I don't know, whatever you want to know more about, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope this video wasn't too long or rambly, but it is what it is. If you made it this far in the video, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and turn on those post notifications so that you never miss an upload. I thank you guys so much for all of your love and support, and I will see all of you beautiful people in my next one. Bye.